What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Justin Arm, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to get started in Tracktion Waveform. You may be a person that's a beginner and you're like, is this DAW for me? Well, I'm going to show you some powerful tools that are inside of Tracktion Waveform. This is the free version, so everything in here should be completely free. The first one we want to reveal is asio is the way to go. And what I mean by that is that if you are inside Tracktion Waveform, you want to be able to set up your audio. And I'm going to tell you that the best choices that you can use is asio. Now, mind you, most computers, if you're using your internal sound, do not have asio compatible with it. There are other options. We have an app that you can download and install called Asio for All. It does work well. Sometimes it can be a little finicky, but if you do have an audio interface of some sort, whether it's like a $50, $100, any type of interface, for the most part, they should work with asio. There's some that don't work with asio, but let me show you your best options. So we're going to go up to settings, and you notice you have appearance, you have audio devices. We're going to check audio devices, and we want to make sure it's set to asio. Now, there's a bunch of options on here. You have Windows Audio, you have Windows Audio exclusive mode. Exclusive means that this only will work for Tracktion Waveform. So if you're planning on using sound for YouTube, Spotify, any other devices that may require audio like Netflix, they may not get sound. So if you're noticing that you're not getting sound anywhere else except for Tracktion Waveform, then this might be the reason why. You have it on exclusive mode. Then we have Windows Odyssey, which is low latency mode, okay? That's just going to give you the lowest latency that you can get with Windows Audio. So that means that you won't have that big gap between what you say and what you actually hear the computer spit back at you. Then we have direct sound on here. Now, this might be different if you're on Mac or Linux, so you might see different options. And then we have asio. Well, I'm using the Zoom Live Track L8, and it does work perfectly with asio. Once you have it selected on asio, then you want to go about making sure that the device is set to whatever device you're using. I mentioned earlier about asio for all, okay? We could get into that for another video. If you need help with this, I'll show you how to set that up. FL Studio's on here because I had FL Studio on here one time. You know, Focusrite because I have a Focusrite Scarlett, and you have a bunch of devices that may be here, okay? My Xair because I have the Xair 18 by Behringer. And right now I have it set to Zoom. So this is the first step, making sure that it's set to the right device. I can do a test for that. If I hear that sound, and hopefully you heard it, then I know that I'm getting sound from my device and it's set up correctly. The sample rate, 48,000 is the maximum I believe that this mixer will go, or this interface. It might go higher than this, but 48 is what it's set on right now. 48, 44.1, any of those will work. Just going to say the higher you go in hertz, the more depth and just more overall sonics your sound will have. So if you're always wondering, like, which one should I use? Should I use 44 or 48? Typically, mastered music is always reduced to 44.1. CD version, but now we don't really have to use CDs as much anymore. So now you can master things higher at a higher bit rate or a higher sample rate, which is what this is. So it's set at 48,000, and my samples is my audio buffer size. One reason why asio is so great to use is because it offers everything at a lower latency. But these samples or latency tells me that when I say the word hi, now right now I'm hearing my headphones, but that's because I'm plugged directly into the mixer. But if I was listening to it coming from the computer, it might be a slight delay. I might say hi, and it might be like hi, 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 kind of like that, hi, hi. This latency, as you get it lower in samples, then it becomes to be like hi, 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 hi. And then you might even make it down to a 0, which is like, as soon as I say hi, that's exactly what I hear. I'm spending a lot of time trying to explain it to you, but I just want you to know that. Now, going from here, we have it set to asio. Now, if you need to adjust the sample rate, you go to control panel, all right? This is only for asio. If you have it set on any other device, any other type of audio device type, then you would be able to adjust it right here. But here, when I click, I can't adjust anything, right? I'm just clicking on it. So I have to go to control panel, and then I have to lower this. I want to lower this as much as I can. Now, this is at 24 samples. That's very low. Now, I would never lower it that much, because the lower you take this, the more taxing is going to be on your CPU and your computer, your memory, etc. So, but I might take it to 416 or 352 samples, okay? The closer I get this, the more I will hear less latency. When I'm working with plugins, and I'm doing a whole lot of work with plugins, I might push this all the way this way, okay? And you might ask me why I do that. It's just a habit. I've learned that if I put that latency, it's not using my memory and my CPU as much, and now my CPU can focus more on working with plugins that are inside a waveform. So, but for now, I'm going to put this back to, let's put it on 512. That's fine for now. And then I'll press X, okay? Now, you're going to notice that it blacked out right here. That's okay. Some reason it blacks out. And I don't see I see 24 samples here. But it says, oh, there's an error when trying to open audio device, can't start device. And that's because I just made some changes to it. It's okay. I'm going to press OK. And then I'm going to go back up to device type, and I'm going to choose Zoom L8. And now you'll notice it is set to 512. So I can go back. I have a new project created, and I am ready to start doing what I need to do. Now, if you don't know how to create tracks, press the letter T, and that will create a new track. Okay, you can press T quite a bit. If you want to undo that, press Control Z. All right, I'm going to delete this track. I've got one track set up here. I'm going to give you another tidbit that's not dealing with ASIO, but making sure that you have it set on the right input, right? Right now it's set on master L. It's not going to work because it's going to be hearing everything coming out of my master. So my click track is coming out of my master, so it's going to record that. You're going to go back up to settings. And then right over here, you're going to see some channels and some information. Let's get a better view of that. You're going to see enabled output 1 and 2 is set for my wave output. That's fine. For my input, master L is set for my default wave input. I do not want that. I want it to be set to input 1 because that is where I have my microphone plugged up. Now it's set up to record. I have signal. All right. Now I can record something, and lucky for you, I'm weird and I like to do crazy things. So here's my recorder. Yes, I know. It's true. I'm bringing it out, and I haven't played it in forever, and I'm not an expert at playing it, but it is perfectly fine. Okay, so let's play something. Okay. All right. I played it. Let's listen to it back. Good. Okay. That's funny as a mug. All right. I always like to do things like this. And now that I have some audio recorded, I know I got a signal. I know that it's good to go. And we want to move on from there because you want to know, well, what about all the fun stuff? Well, let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about the next thing that we want to focus on. Number 2, this tip, mastering the browser tool. The browser tool is a tool that's right here on the left side. You can press B as in boy on the keyboard to undo, or well, not undo, but open it up or close it. You can actually set this up in your settings. If you want to be on your right side, you want to be at the bottom, you can change it wherever you want to change. But I have it on the left side. Now, over here on the browser, we have a bunch of different categories. And I want to kind of talk about this because sometimes this is things that get missed All right, so we have at the top, we have actions. This actions folder is going to have a lot of great things in it. It has the name. So if I wanted to name this track, I can say, click on it and I can say recorder. All right. I can change the color of the track itself. All right. I can also do a playback arranger. I can mute the track. No, because I can do it over here, but I can mute it from here. I can solo the track and isolate the track. I can shrink the track. I can grow the track. Okay, so there's a bunch of things. You can insert new tracks from here. You can do submix containing. So I don't want to get to all the details that's over here, but it's a lot of stuff that's on here, okay? And you just want to go in here and explore these things. Okay, the next thing we have is the input. Input has, you can treat it as a stereo pair. Like if you have two tracks and you want them to be paired together, you can do that. If you want to change the input monitor mode, so I wanted to hear exactly what the computer is hearing, then I can put this input on, and this will allow me to hear that delay that I was talking about. It might sound like you have a delay or like you have chorus on your audio, but it works well if you really want to hear like effects, like maybe you got reverb and auto tune on your track and you want to hear that stuff. You can do that. You have input gain here. You have the trigger level. Some of this stuff I have never explored before. I have a record mode. This is very important too as well. Record mode says that you can overlay newly recorded clips onto an edit, kind of like blending it, or you can replace old clips, you know, which is like overwriting it, or don't make recordings from this device at all. So that's another option. I keep it on overlay because I like to, you know, you can stack things on top of each other. You can change the format, you know, file. Maybe I want this file to be AIF. I'm going to keep it on wave, and maybe I want to change the bit depth. You can go 16, 24, or 32, which is down at the bottom. All right. We have clip. So clip, once again, this is what we read earlier. You can change, well, it's not where we read earlier, but you can also change the name of it up here, track 1 recording. So this changes the name right here. And maybe I want to say this is recorder take 1. All right. And now it says recorder take 1. You can fade in here. You can fade out. You can apply edge fades, different type of fades. You can auto pitch it or auto tempo it, stretch it, speed it up. You know, I mean, it's just anything you can think of doing, you can do. And then you can do plugins, remap on tempo change. Select all the plugins in this track. MIDI control mappings. This will be great for MIDI. So, okay, now let's move on to the files. We have files. Here I can find things that I'm looking for. Like if I want to search for a particular audio that I want to bring in, I can find that there. There's a search, so you can search everything within waveform. Like if I was looking for a specific sample or a specific track or something like that. Or maybe I'm looking for some plugins and maybe I want to find reverb. I can type in reverb and it should bring up a list of reverbs, legacy reverb, plate reverb, and I got the waves reverbs down here. Exit out of that. I have the tracks view, okay, which I can see I have a marker, I have a tempo, master track, and here's the main track. So, and I can disable that or I can re-enable it. I can hide these, and then I have markers. So markers allow you to basically kind of organize your music. So I can say, oh, the verse starts here or the chorus starts here. And you can add those down here. And I think I have a video that talks about that, but we can talk about that a little bit more, but not right now. So this is the browser view. So like I said, it's got a lot to offer. And you really need to go explore it because you might find some cool things in there that you really look forward to using on your project. By this time, I hope you find some value in it. This video may be a little different, but I hope you have already said, you know what, man, I need to click the subscribe button for this dude. Like this dude right here, I need to click it. And maybe you liked it. Hopefully you liked it. The third one I want to talk about is using loop recording for multiple takes. So I've already recorded something, but maybe I didn't like it. So I just created a new track now. And I'm going to mute this track over here. And this track I'm going to set for the loop. All right. when you press L on your keyboard, the loop is enabled. You can kind of see it at the bottom here. It's like like two little arrows that kind of make a circle. And once it's enabled, you can set loop points to as well. So like maybe I want this to be, I don't know, let's set it to just 4 bars. Okay. Bring this right here. And what it'll do is it'll keep recording and it'll keep making multiple takes of this. Let's try it. Don't know what I'm playing again, but not an expert. Just I want to use something different. Okay. Okay, made a mistake. You noticed it already, right? What did I forget to do? I forgot to press record. You know, things happen. All right. That might be one reason why when you get done recording, you realize that you didn't have nothing like because you forgot to press enable record. All right, and I'm going to stop there, and I can see I have a lot of takes. And how do we find those? Okay, I'm going to press this plus sign that's right here, and that's going to open up your takes. And then I can say show all takes. All right, and then once you click on the plus sign, you'll see that there are other versions, other tracks, or other takes rather. And so I can click on each take. So like this is one, I can listen to one. If I want to change it, I can click on the next one. Okay, and I click on the third one. Okay, I click on 4. Click on 5. Okay, 5 has nothing on it. So I have all these multiple takes. All right, let's stop that. And then the good thing about it is that I can actually like choose part of each of these takes. And I do have a video that talks about how to comp. We call this comping. Once I press the hide the other tracks, then it's just showing my comp 1. So now it's showing a new take basically, which includes all the other takes. And then we can listen to that by itself. Okay, you can tell that it's a bit different than when I originally recorded that first time. And then I can add these together if I want to, you know. Maybe I'll move this over some and let's play it. Okay. All right. It works. Okay. It sounds weird, but it's just something to get me started. Like I'm just trying to get you in here so that you know the process of how to go about recording what you want to record. All right. So the next tip that I want to talk about is my 4th tip, which is to use racks to organize your effects. All right. There are a bunch of effects that come with Tracktion Waveform. Now the free version doesn't have many, but it does have some good plugins. And then the pro version, if you have the pro version, does comes with some other plugins. So let's talk about this real quick, because on the browser, there are what's called racks. I'm going to go to the search, and a rack is basically a combination of different effects. It's a way of organizing your effects and changing the processor flow basically, so you can change the chain of your plugins. So for instance, maybe you want the reverb first, and then you want the chorus. Maybe you want the delay first, then you want the reverb. So you could do this type of thing here. It has a bunch of benefits. I'm not going to really get deep dive details into what you can do with racks, but I'm going to give you a brief short tutorial on this within this tutorial. All right, so we have racks. If you click on racks right over here on the left, you'll notice that there are a bunch of different presets and stuff like that. I'm going to click on factory presets and I'm going to click on racks. All right, there's modifiers, there's guitar, and there's some effect stuff. And there's some guitar, delay, and some other things down here. Now, these are kind of like presets, basically. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on something. This one is called long delay effects. And what I'm going to do is going to take it and I'm going to drag it over and put it on this track. I'll put it on the first one. All right. It does take a little while for it to load, but it's okay because it's got a lot of stuff in it. That's why. I'm going to mute this track, the second track. So and let's open this first track up some more so we can see it a little better. Now, when you first look at this, if you double click on it, it's going to look very confusing to you because you're like, what the heck is all of this? So basically, think of it like how you would map things if you had like a patch bay. Like you take a cable, quarter-inch cable, you plug it in here, you take this cable, plug it in there. That's kind of what this is doing. Like, so this is the track, and then it's like this is the left side, this is the right side, and then this is how I can position those. And each plug-in or each effect that that opens up is right there. Now this is Tracktion EQ, but this one I think is, I don't know if this is included with the free version or not, I can't remember, but hopefully it is. You do have some type of EQ that's in there. So, but it has a EQ, it's already set, and it's coming out signal-wise, like it's going to the EQ, then it's going into a compressor anyway, and that's set a certain way. And then out of a compressor is going into a T delay, okay? And then I can adjust any of these plugins, or I can just leave them how they are. I can make it wet, or I can, I can make it real dry. But for right now, I'm just gonna hear what it sounds like, okay? So. Okay, now you notice I have that loop still on. Okay, as you can see, you heard, you definitely heard some compression. You definitely heard some EQ. You definitely heard like some delay that came. The way it came in was a little weird, but it came in like really late. So I can go through and I can tweak these things. Now, this might not be that important to you, but what might be important to you is the process of having to come back in here and reset your effects. You may not want to do that. I'm going to remove this rack, but I'm going to show you another way that you can go about using racks. If you add effects down here, so you can click the plus sign here, drag it down here, or you can just click on the plus sign here, go to plugin racks, and then you will see the option that says new from preset or create a new empty rack. I'm going to create a new empty rack. All right, so once you have your plugin rack open, then you can drag effects here if you want to. All you have to do is just drag the plus sign down, and then I can add, let's say I want to add reverb to it. Click on reverb, and let's do a natural reverb. Now, there's an option that says auto connect. To show you the simple method of how this works, I'm going to say auto connect. But you may want things to reconnect differently. And we'll talk more about what all of this is or what it means. You can kind of see, but you can get around and play with it. But now I have my reverb. I can open it up. I can adjust some things on it if I want to. Let's play it. Okay. All right. So simple as that. Now, this is really cool because you can do multiple plugins on here. You can set them up, wire them the way you want them, change the effects parameters of each of the plugins, and then you can save this. And once you have it done, let's see, new rack, I'm gonna bring it back up again so we can see it again. At the bottom there is a part that says save, and you can click on save. You can save it as something else, but if you want to create a new preset, press create new preset, and then here you can type into it like new rack, and I can say this is I don't know, recorder, reverb. I can put a description for it. I can say where it's going to be at. It's going to be in a rack. All right. and I can say what kind of plugin it is. I'm just going to say plugin. All right. And then I can add some other popular tags to it, but I'm not going to worry about doing all that. Press OK. And the preset should be there now. So now if I go back to racks, I can go from a preset, or I could come over here to the racks on the browser, and I should see there it is, record a reverb, and then I can drag it to any one of these tracks. Now it's there. Now I didn't label it right here, so you can label it too as well. I just didn't name it right there, but what you'll notice is still set up. And that is one thing that is cool. Like, this allows you to do so many different things. Like, this is going to be how I'm going to create my first vocal preset. You know, I know you all are interested. I've got vocal presets that actually would work in Waveform. I have one. It works with Waves plugins, but I'm going to create a vocal preset that's going to be specifically for Tracktion Waveform using the stock plugins. All right. So if you got more details or you got more comments about what kind of plugins you really want, like maybe you want a different style, or maybe you want something that's sweet and, you know, sweet and calm and collective, or maybe you want something that's more growling and distorted, etc. If you got ideas of what you want me to create, let me know in the comments. That probably was confusing, but anyway, let's go to the very last step. Once you've recorded everything, you've kind of mixed it, put your effects and stuff on it, then of course you need to go about exporting your songs correctly. Export your songs correctly. Click down here, go to File, go to Export Render to a File, and there's a bunch of options on here that are very important. This is the biggest change that I would really make, is to make sure that you set it to where you want it to go. Otherwise, you might not be able to find the song. I'm going to put it in my music folder, and I'm going to press save. And then my format, I want it to be wave, stereo, my sample rate and all that. I'll keep it 24-bit. Not really worried about most of this other stuff down here. If you dither it enable, does tend to make it sound better. If it's less than 32 bits, then, you know, dither it. And then you can separate the tracks. If you want to do render each track to a separate file, that's fine too as well. And after that, I would press render. And normally in some cases you'll see a percentage or something pop up, but this file wasn't a lot, so maybe it rendered it very quickly. I can go check and see if I see anything in my music folder. And if I don't see anything, then I'll be like, oh, what happened to it? New video test X. Okay, let's hear it. See what it sounds like. Okay, cool. So it did it, and it's just as simple as that, you all. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, again, please put them in the comments, and I hope you subscribe to the channel.